Patrick here with Urban Carry Holsters, and today we're going to be showing you how to field strip and properly clean the Taurus PT-111 Millennium G2. This pistol was designed around concealed carry. It's a 9mm with a 12-round magazine capacity and a restrike capability. We'll get into that a little bit later on, but for now we're going to turn this over to Chase, who's going to show us how to properly take it apart and clean it.
I'm going to show you how to field strip and properly clean your Taurus PT-111. If this is the gun that you have, or maybe you're looking into buying one for self-defense. But first things first, okay, we always want to make sure that we are safe here. And we are going to check the firearm, make sure that it is empty. Okay, of course, picking up the gun without any kind of finger on the trigger. Take out your mag. As you can see, the mag is empty. And as you can see, there is no round in the chamber. Now that we've done that, Taurus did a really good job in the sense of how this gun takes apart. And if you are familiar with Glocks, okay, that's a very popular company to buy firearms from. They actually, the Takedown is very similar to that. And it's just these bars right here, okay? If all you need to do is press down on these, then it'll allow your slide to come forward. Now, of course, you want to depress your trigger, but what I do is I just grab onto the back of the firearm with my thumb and grab that slide with the rest of my fingers. This will allow me to bring the slide up just slightly so that I'm able to pull down on these takedown bars. Okay, after you do that, let go, depress that trigger, and your slide and your frame will come apart. Okay, first things first, what we want to do is just take apart our slide. Okay, you have a compounded recoil spring. Okay, just set that off to the side for just a hot second. And then to lift your barrel out, I literally just go through the ejection port on the bottom side. I push up and then lift out. All right, very simple. Same way that, again, that you would probably take down a Glock. First things first, what we want to do is just get all of our metal parts started to get coated in a solvent. That way any kind of powder fouling or any kind of carbon or any kind of brass or copper shavings that are left inside your gun after shooting can start breaking down. What I use is this Hobbies Elite gun cleaner. Okay, it cleans down and deep down, and it removes a lot of that carbon, lead, copper, and it is scent free. Okay, there are a lot of oils and a lot of other solvents that do have kind of a potent smell to them. There are some that are ammonia based, so just, you know, definitely consider what you're buying before you buy it. Now, I've shown this in other videos. I'm just going to start out with kind of just my brush to get this coated. All I do is I wrap a swab around my brush. Now, of course, you can buy one of these leads. Okay, very simple, and they do work well. Okay, I just don't want to waste too much time of put a brush on and a lead on and brush on and lead on. So a very simple way is just, again, to wrap that brush up. So what we're going to do is use just a little bit. Remember, we don't have to soak these guns. We just want to get them nice and clean. So I just do a couple of sprays. And something that I also show is that these little bushings, these are great for cleaning barrels, okay? Because especially if you're going in through your muzzle side, you don't want the metal of your cleaning rod to be rubbing up against your crown. Of course, that'll decrease your accuracy. But what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to go in through the bore side. It's a whole lot easier for me. I just feel more comfortable doing it. But we'll make sure we get that solvent in there and just let that sit. Okay, as you can see, there's already some stuff in there, but we're going to let that sit in there, make sure that we can get more out later. Next thing I want to work on is my slide. Okay, of course there's multiple friction points on these. Okay, of course you have the slide grooves to where the slide meets the frame, as well up towards the front of the slide where your barrel will meet the slide. Okay, these are all friction points. Another area that you definitely want to clean is your bolt face. Okay, a lot of deposits will gather up on this part of your gun. So we're going to give that a good little scrub down too. What I like to use is just a little nylon brush. Of course, I like these AR. They're basically M16 or Vietnam style cleaning brushes, but you can also use just an old toothbrush. Okay, just make sure you clean it. Make sure it doesn't have any kind of like toothpaste on it or anything like that. But just gonna take a little bit more of that solvent. Again, you don't need a whole lot. And I'm gonna get inside those slide grooves and any other friction point on the gun. Another thing, I do like to take the bull face and turn it upside down. That way, you're not getting any kind of solvent or any kind of oil inside of your striker fire system, because this is a striker fire gun. So it is good. Make sure you scrub that down. This does have a loaded chamber indicator as well as your extractor, and you don't want any kind of build up to get in those places, because then you'll end up getting a false flag. Even if there isn't a round in there, you could be showing red with that chambered indicator. And as well, if you don't get inside where the extractor is, that could eventually make it so your gun will not send out the casings of the rounds that you just fired, which is not good, especially if you have multiple targets or just need to put some more rounds down. But now that that's overall scrubbed down, we're going to let all that solvent in there sit. So what we're going to do next, it's very simple. This is the only really place that I use oil, is on your spring. Now, when it comes to the spring, I don't use a lot of oil. And when I do use oil, I'll use some ballistol. Okay? It does smell a little bit, but it is great for lubricating your pistols or even any kind of metals, honestly. But again, it doesn't take very much. This just helps coat and help protect your gun, and it will somewhat clean as well. But we just want to make sure that there's a slight coating on this. As well as with this cleaning cloth, get any kind of deposits that are on it. And as you can see, there are quite a bit, and stuff that you don't want in your gun. Again, we just want to let those sit for a little bit. Now, of course, this is just a field strip. Now, you can take down your gun further, whether it be the slide or your frame. But with these, just a simple little scrub down is all you really need to do. What I'm going to use, I'm going to still use some of this solvent, okay, because there are going to be corrosive materials that will get back here, and dirt and everything else that's in here. So, but again, you don't want to use too much. So I'm just going to spray just a little bit on here so that I can get on the rails. Any kind of moving parts, especially that trigger. There's an extended feed ramp right here. That'll be good to, brush down a little bit. As well, if you have any metal inside of your mag well, this is another area that would be good to clean, okay? Again, when that round goes off, that excess powder will go everywhere. But now, what we want to do is go in just backwards order, okay? But we do want to wipe down any kind of excess solvent or oil that we've used in our gun. Of course, I'm just going to use some of these cleaning patches. Okay, it's very easy for me. You could use a rag. You can use most cloths. Sometimes I'll even take a t-shirt and I'll cut it up. That way, it's just easier, and you don't have to use like any kind of special tool or any kind of special kind of microfiber, these work just fine. But you definitely want to make sure that you get any excess off of there. And the same with the slide. Just wipe down any excess. Alright, and as you can see, I've been hitting all the areas that I had scrubbed, okay? The rails, bolt face, and where the barrel meets the slide. Okay, all important areas. Okay, don't forget, we did put some oil onto the recoil spring. Just wipe off all that extra. And the last thing we want to do, which we haven't done yet, is to finally clean inside the barrel. We've had that solvent sitting in there. So I have my 9mm brush, and I'm just going to swab this out just a couple of times. Okay. If you've let your gun sit for a long time, it might be good to, do this repeatedly. But overall, if you've just gotten done shooting, usually 5 or 6 little swabs, and that works out pretty well. This time I will use my lead, as well as I'll show you how to use this bushing. Now this goes onto the cleaning rod first. And again, this helps to make sure that that cleaning rod doesn't hit your crown, which is where the end of your rifling is in your barrel. But, oh whoa. See, I'm not even paying attention today. I put this on backwards. There we go. But to show you how this works, okay, this is going to go in, and see how that fits right inside the barrel? That's what you want to look like. And see, the rod can't touch that rifling. But I'm just going to swab this out a couple of times. Getting any of that excess solvent in there. And as you can see, it was picking up. See, this is why it is very important to clean your gun, guys. This is a very, very good tool, and of course, anyone knows that you need to maintenance and make sure that your tools are working properly. But now that it's all clean, we're just going to go in backwards order of putting it back together. Take your slide and your barrel, insert your barrel at an angle, okay? Once you do that, just push on the muzzle, make sure that barrel seats down. Then you have your recoil spring. Put it right in that little circular hole right there, and then make sure that it goes onto your barrel. There we go. And another good aspect to this doesn't have exactly a groove where it can sit in properly, so you don't want to be putting it in where your recoil spring is off to the side or anything like that. Make sure that it is straight on, okay? That's just, again, gotta make sure that you don't have any problems when you take it back out shooting. Then, of course, very easy, just like we were talking, how it has that Glock type takedown, okay? Just want to make sure you put your slide right along those slide grooves. Act like you're racking the firearm, and you are now good to go.
All right, now let's go over some additional details of the Taurus PT-111. This pistol was designed for concealed carry, as I mentioned before. So a lot of the features on it have been just based around a good concealed carry firearm. For example, the slide has been completely smoothed out. There's no sharp edges or even really too many flat edges on the front of this firearm, at least front facing. Everything's been smoothed out. You have some contouring here on the slide. The sights are low profile and they're 3-dot white sights, but be careful with these sights because they are plastic and those sights are just painted on. So you don't want to use too much solvent there or else it could damage the sights. Of course, you can get aftermarket night sights on there if you wanted to do that. And if you're using this for a concealed carry pistol, that's always a good recommendation, is to get some good night sights on there. Interesting thing about these sights though is they are adjustable for windage and elevation, something that you don't get in a lot of pistols, so that's a nice feature to have. This is the stainless steel slide model, but it also comes in a black slide as well, and of course the frame is black here as well. So the slide is really easy to manipulate. That recoil spring is not very heavy. There hasn't been too many reports that we've read anyway as far as the recoil being unmanageable due to that lighter recoil spring, but it's nice because the slide is really easy to manipulate. The slide serrations here are actually fairly aggressive. They're slanted diagonally, so they really dig in when you go to pull back the slide. There are no front slide serrations though, which that might be a nice feature or something you could do after you have the pistol if you wanted to. Both the slide and the barrel are stainless steel, and you have a polymer frame here. All the features on this firearm are on the right-handed side, so it's not an ambidextrous or left-handed friendly firearm. And you do have a loaded chamber indicator up here on top of the slide. It's visible up there, and it's got a little red paint on it. I don't know if you can see it in the camera, but there's a little bit of red paint there, so you can definitely tell when you have a round in the chamber. The takedown on this is very simple. As Chase showed you in the video, it's much like a Glock. You just pull down on those tabs, pull the trigger, and you're good to take off the slide and field strip your pistol for an easy cleaning. This is your slide catch and release tab here, and all these have been recessed into the frame a little bit, and they're low profile, so nothing's going to snag on your holster or clothing, anything like that. This is your thumb safety, and it's really easy to engage and disengage. There's hardly any pressure there, which is nice. That means you can access it quickly with your thumb. And for me, with my hand positioning on the firearm, I didn't have to switch up my hand at all to be able to disengage that when I was going to shoot it. Here's your magazine release. Again, it's kind of recessed into the frame a little bit. It sticks out a little bit from the trigger area, but as far as the frame is concerned, it's all in line. That's one thing that I really like about the PT111 is that, again, because it was designed for concealed carry, it's a very slim, ergonomic pistol. You've got little indentations here on the slide for your fingers. It'd be for your index fingers, whether you're right or left-handed. And then you have those similar indentations here for your thumb. It's kind of a thumb rest, and it just makes it more comfortable in the hand. Now here on the grip, you have some grip areas here. I don't know what else to call them, but they're pretty aggressive where the grip is. Outside of those little areas though, it's all smooth plastic, so if you have sweaty hands or you live in a hot and humid climate like we are here in Florida, you might consider adding some grip tape or maybe even some stippling along certain parts of the grip where your hand is going to be more apt to slip up. You do have grip on the front and the back strap here, and like I said, it's pretty aggressive. I like it on there. And then this is your magazine. It's a metal magazine with a little pinky extension there, so you get a full grip on it, and it is 12 plus 1 in the chamber, so 13 rounds overall with this pistol. So you've got the thumb safety here, and then you also have an integral trigger safety here, so unless you're pushing that down, you can't fire the pistol. So that's another nice feature to have. So you've got a couple safeties there. Again, this pistol is great for concealed carry. It's also one you could use for home defense because of that large magazine capacity of 12 rounds plus 1 in the chamber, and it has an accessory rail here on the frame. So it's a great multi-purpose firearm, definitely good for concealed carry. It's thin, ergonomic, and lightweight enough to carry around all day with a high magazine capacity. That's it for the Taurus PT-111. If you enjoyed this video, subscribe to our channel below. We're always putting out new videos with information on how to properly care and maintain your firearms, concealed carry, best practices, and how to fully utilize the full line of urban carry products. Thanks again, and until next time, keep calm and return fire.